Hello?
Ah,
There we go. All right. We got a good mic test there. Okay. Um, let's come back and check here. Hmm. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into. I think I've got all my system kinks checked out. If not, I'm sure somebody will be in my inbox or something saying, "Hey, this is not working," or "Hey, you didn't do that," or whatever. But all that aside, we want to welcome everybody who's coming in, all of you guys who are listening live on social media. Thank you for joining us. This is the Conjure Side Chat official. This is season one, episode two. If you are here backstage with us, we appreciate that as well. We'll be getting to your comments and questions and calls in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, in between time, um, my guest here, of course, needs no introduction. If you guys tuned in last week, we had such a blast. It was great. You guys had a great time. He had a great time. I had a great time. So we said, let's go ahead and do it all over again tonight. So, Lazarus, what's going on with you, brother?
well, I'm working on two more books.
What else is new, right?
That's about it. I've just been writing.
I,
Eventually, I'll be a household name.
man, I think you're closer to being than you think you are.
Maybe.
So you just released a book this week, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, volume one of the Grimoire of the Psalms.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we're gonna be able to do that whole thing at one time. I just knew that wasn't gonna happen.
Man, not well. I wanted to, but I started getting a headache.
I'm
you know,
sure.
I have no Photoshop skills. All those diagrams I had to do in paint. So after a while, you start to really hate your computer.
They all start looking the same.
Yeah, it all starts to just bleed together. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll just stop at 50 and take a break. Because there's a lot of seals, to have to transcribe through paint. That was a
So
lot of work.
did you? I haven't had a chance to pick up this particular book of yours, but there's a seal for every song.
Multiple seals on some of them.
Wow.
I had to edit down some because it was just getting to be too much. I even instead of putting a copy of the exact psalm in to try to lessen, repetitiveness, I
Hmm.
just put the psalm title because I figured everybody's got access to a Bible,
Right.
or can Google the psalm name, and even that was a lot. So the first 50 were done.
So your well, I've got to check out this book because it's called Grimoire the Psalms, and it's the first 50 of the Psalms, and you've got workings in there for each psalm, including seals for them. Because I think that uh, I know Oya, I believe, did a review of your book already, so I'm very excited. I've seen a little bit of your work. I've still got a couple of your books that I'm going through even now with a fine tooth comb and a bright highlight. I'm looking at your book earlier today, as a matter of fact, making some little marginal notes in there.
See, now that might show up in a museum someday. All these. That's how grimoires got started. Somebody annotating somebody else's book, and then it just became a giant book.
Next thing you know, you're right. You might be onto something.
Well, there's a few of them that we know, like the Galderbach. I think it was three or four different writers taking the script, adding to it, annotating as they went. Uh, Probably multiple keys of Solomon were done that way. No. Some of them were actually, we have copies that someone made a hand copy of and added stuff to, and no one put it together until we started uploading it to the internet. Yeah.
So we start comparing the different versions. Like, wait a minute, that's a different
Yeah.
version of what I have.
Yeah, so like the sixth and seventh book of Moses, a lot of that comes from, I think, the Hebrew book of Raziel,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is completely different from the Latin one in a lot of ways, or vice versa. Like, it came from one of them, supposedly. And it just gets took and put into a new book. So we might be like starting a movement here, you know.
Not even knowing it.
You
25, 75 years
you
from
know,
now, they'll be, unearthing this ancient manuscript, from 100 years ago,
yeah. I
written.
wonder if I wonder how they're going to unearth people's Tumblr blogs. You know, if society collapses, wouldn't that be something?
It's on a thumb drive somewhere,
There's
and
this cult, this
we,
primitive culture, and we're still trying to dissect their religion and ways. But
right, and these were the ancients and the writings of old.
and we can tell now why the planet went extinct. Stuff like that.
Because of Poom Poom Conjure. That's why. That's why
That
the
did it. That did it. It completely disrupted, Darwinian evolution and mating by allowing lesser genetic material, I guess, to succeed, and thus we bred a whole human race of fat dudes that liked dice games or something, and society collapsed. That was it. They all died.
And it's all based
You never
upon
know.
this manuscript right here.
All because of this one book gave some people some unfair advantages. Is this like the first time a chimpanzee learned to use a stick?
but
Completely messed up the whole jungle.
that is what I think it's so interesting because um all joking aside, but in all seriousness, this is what our traditions allow us to do. They allow us to have an unfair advantage, whether it's in the workplace or in love or in money or whatever. It really balances. Sometimes I like to say that it may not even be that it's unnatural or that it's giving an unfair advantage, but that this is actually what it would look like if the playing field was fair, was balanced, was level.
Well, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of these traditions stayed amongst poor people. There was no way to have a fair advantage. This was just what we used to try to get closer to level. It still didn't. In some cases, we did. Look at the Maroons. They made the British sign a contract with them, a treaty, because
Hmm.
they was tearing people up with sticks and
Left and right.
slings. You know,
Hmm.
Haiti.
Mm.
Places, lots of different places. So I guess at times it's what you need, but we could never say the playing field was fair.
If,
It's not
if
fair today. Never was, never gonna be.
it's really just working our way closer and closer and closer to that middle ground. I've got
Yeah,
a
I'm waiting to see what happens as we start getting.
what's that? I don't know if it's on my end, losing some audio.
Okay, something went there. That went in slow mo.
Yeah.
But I'm really curious as what's going to happen if we get top level scientists also practicing primitive religio spiritual traditions. What would those two things together do?
Mm. Because at one point they were all the same thing. They were all the same
Unless
thing.
they're doing it now, who knows?
Well, they've been saying they've been researching it, but the people they bring on there is nobody that I think is credible at all. So I think it's stupid.
Who knows? Probably is, but I mean, it would be an interesting concept. What all could it produce?
I think that the I've always thought that the sciences of today were once the spiritual technologies of the ancestors before. Because I think about a lot of things that culturally, or I should say, what we receive passed down from oral tradition. Now, as of late, Johnny come lately, the medical field, the scientific field are now just finally catching up to it and saying, "Oh yeah, this is true. We've proven this particular fact." Or breaking news. We've known this since the past 200 years. Where have y'all
Like
been?
grandma talking to plants to make them grow. They finally
Right,
started doing this on that. Water molecules freezing different depending on whether you cuss at it or not.
right.
Which I don't know why anybody would cuss at an ice cube,
But
but
people do
somebody
that.
did the test. They
Right.
had more time than me.
I think it was Dr. Isamu Emoto did that famous, it was the water test. And even now, even when you're doing certain workings and writing petitions or writing prayers on something, that's going to change something energetically with that word, don't you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think language is like the greatest magic there ever was. You can't think outside of language. Your entire life is controlled by it. You can't think, so you can't act without language. You can't think without language. Think about it. See?
See?
So everything's controlled by language. And no matter what language you learn, you'll always think in the first one you were told. Uh, Half of Vedic spiritual traditions based on the power of sound.
Hmm.
Recitation of mantras, passages of the Veda. One of them is almost completely, basically, incantations. So it must have been pretty important. I think those are like some of the oldest Indo-European texts that we have. One of the most complete religious traditions. And one of the holy books is specifically a spell book, all on incantations. So there's got to be a reason we put such value in the spoken word.
I've heard it said that, like you said, spelling, okay, spelling, uh, to speak, to invoke, to incantation, that literally I can have a thought, an idea, a concept, and then transmit that in some invisible way, because you can't see my words, you can't touch them, you can't taste them, you can't smell them, but through some invisible way, introduce what's up here in my head in your head. So if I
That's
say, don't think about whatever you do, please to God, don't think about elephants. Your
yeah,
your mind's gonna actually go to elephants. There's nothing you're gonna be able to do.
butterflies. Yeah. The beginning was the word, and God said you could do so much better in your conjure if you paid attention to the words you speak. It's not what goes into
Mm,
a man, but what
comes
comes
out
out
of
of him.
him that defiles him. Hmm.
Yeah. Be careful with your words.
So what are some things that people who are doing spiritual work, for example, because you bring up a very great concept. What are some things, because even the scripture says to set a guard over your mouth. What are some things we should be aware of when it comes to what we say or how we speak as it relates to our spiritual work?
I'm fat. I need to lose weight. You already cursed yourself before you got started. Maybe that's why diets don't work. Because people curse themselves before they even started. And it's
It's so interesting
negative.
you bring this up because I remember my mentor in the school of proverbs we would start talking about in the mystery school. He would say on that particular point, he would say, don't say you have to lose weight or you have to lose anything. Because if you say you're going to lose it, 9 times out of 10 is going to find a way to find you again. Say you release it. If you lose it, it'll come back and find you. If you release it, it's be gone forever. He said the same thing about the word. He said the same thing about the word spend. That's the word. Yeah, spend when it came to money work or money, just your financial situation in dreams. I never say you spend money. If you spend it, it's gone. It cannot come back to you. But see, you circulate it. I circulate my money. I went to the store and I made an investment. And so he was talking about. I was like, man. come on, man, you just parsing
That's
words now.
genius. I never thought of it that way. I mean, I understand it, but I just never thought of the applications in that. That's genius.
At the time, I
Well,
didn't realize what he was saying. I said, man, you just parsing words, man. You just trying to sound overly deep for no good reason. But as I have matured, I begin to keep in mind what I say, how I say it, what I speak over myself, over my situation, over my clients, or just because like you said, you will find yourself cursing yourself.
you know, it's I think back and old folks be saying little things like this. In my head, I'm like, y'all bullshit until you have your own epiphany about it. And it seems to be that way with a lot of these teachings. You can hear it, but until it happens to you, you have that light on moment. It's just a memory of the word.
Mm-hmm.
But once that happens, that's a moment of power. So you always should also, in everything, trace back your life, all the big events of your life. What do they mean? What's similar? What repeating patterns? And you'll see a whole new way of looking at things, and you'll learn a lot, and you'll learn a lot about language.
You mentioned about how we think in language. It was meant to be a joke, but actually started to become a very a deep question. And the question was about telepathy, and I forgot how the situation went, but um, one of the guys was like, "No, oh no, she can't read my mind because I don't speak English. I'm French, so I think in French, and if she doesn't know the French language, she can't read my thoughts." And
I
I said,
never thought of it that way.
"I never
But
thought."
you know, at the same time, if that lady starts saying stuff in French to me, I'm done.
Right, exactly. It's a done
I'm
deal.
retired. I've been beat. I'm never gonna be good enough. Thanks for ruining my life. I'm done. I retire. You'll pull off something like that, take all the wind out of my sails. I'm gonna have to quit.
So what? So have you been putting your hand in any kind of works this past week?
Well, you know, thinking about all this language in the Psalm book,
Mm-hmm.
that's all kind of rushing together. It's mostly been that. I mean, I've really been trying to convey as much of these ideas as possible onto paper, hoping somebody will understand it one day.
Mm-hmm.
All my work's been cataloged, basically.
What are I get this question all the time. You know, I have a Facebook group, Hoodoo Bible Study, and so I've kind of been on this campaign called "What's Step 3?" And what I mean by this, people will come into the group and they'll make a post or what have you about a situation they're dealing with, and they'll say, you know, what's a good Bible verse for this or whatever the case may be. So that's step one. All right. Then we respond and say, okay, you know, Isaiah such and such or Psalms whatever or you know Jude or whatever, and that's step two. And then you never hear from them anymore, but you tell them, okay, work this verse or work this psalm for your situation, but you never get to step three, which is, I think we assume a lot of times, and I know I'm guilty of this in my own group, for assuming a person knows how to quote unquote work a psalm or work a verse. You know, what does that mean? Do they sit there and just read it and that's it? Is there something else that goes along with that? So, what are some tips for working Bible verses? What are some ways a person can work a Bible verse?
I think one of the first things people should realize is it's not just a string of words. Names of God are encoded in these verses. Now, granted, now ours are mostly, in English, but where it comes from. And at the same time, how often has that same verse been said all over the world, all across since the Council of Nicaea? That's a whole reverberation of energy, all from language, spoken word, that people are tapping into. So if you have nothing, you just have the verse, recite it over and over and over while concentrating on what you're trying to accomplish. Make it a mantra, recite it over and over. Write it down like you're in school having to write sentences. Carry it with you on your person. When you say it, look at it. Carry the verse with you, even if you just write it on a piece of paper. Treat it holy. It has the names of God encoded in it. It's a holy object. And you can do any kind of work that way. And all you need is a piece of pen, a paper, and a Bible verse.
You can't get
Speak
any
it
simpler
over
than that.
things. If you're doing a psalm about finances, read it over all your money before you ever spend it. Read it over your money. Keep reading it. Read it over whatever. Consider it. Consider what it is. These divine names, this history of the same people reciting this verse. You're tapping into this moment in time that stretches off and all that power. And now it becomes something a lot more than just a few words that you don't understand. You're tapping into multiple events. And it becomes powerful. If people understand it that way, then all sorts of applications come together in someone's mind. Psalm 45 and 46, people always use that to bring back a spouse or a partner. That's what it's most popular for. Why aren't you praying it over your bed, over your pillows? Why is it just sitting here reading it? Don't just read it. Also speak it, but understand you're wanting to push that out into the world. Push it out verbally. You know, the word, you know. In the beginning was the word. Well, the word has no meaning when it's not spoken. You have to put it out there.
You know, you mentioned something I wanna harp on for a second, uh, which is prayer. I have to say, from my vantage point, okay, because I come from a background in the Holiness Apostolic or Pentecostal church, as some people may know. And so my views of prayer per se can be vastly different than some other folks. But what I have found is that prayer is becoming particularly in the hoodoo of this new emerging generation of hoodoo workers or what have you, and practitioners, prayer is become a dying art form. It's become a dying art form in the sense that it really has become, it's interesting. Jesus talks about, vain repetition, to avoid vain repetition. I think it's Matthew chapter 6 and chapter 7. And I find that's the case a lot of times. People are lighting a candle, whatever, and it's just this vain, robotic, repetition. And there's no understanding of what they're reading. There's no heart involved. I mean, because how can you have any heart if you don't understand what you're reading? These are just words that you're putting out there. There's no idea of context. You haven't studied or researched in any way the narrative that you're reciting. You don't know what it means or what it meant to the people who wrote it or who heard it originally. And so you're just, it's almost like copy and paste. It's almost like, you've got this yellow pages of, okay, this is the problem, read this. This is the problem, read that. This is the problem, read that. And they come back, 3 weeks later, a month later, and I've got no kind of result whatsoever. And I really, really hate to be that guy. That's why I never say this really publicly, but my response wants to be to them, sir, ma'am, problem is, you don't know how to pray.
There's a technique I used to tell people that I found very helpful. When you pray, picture it like a movie in your head. The Lord is my shepherd. Well, there's Jesus with the stick, so I must be his sheep. Carry that in, because when you look at some of the documented prayers down to like the Coptic manuscripts where Jesus, Horus, and everybody else was all hanging out in the same prayer, they all tell a story, a repeating story of an event from the past. All the sacred songs in every culture, there's always a song about creation, the repeating of an event from the past. If you Recite a prayer, picture it like a movie. Try to really visualize what's happening in your head to help access this, and you'll find new meanings. You can't just vain repetition,
Mm-hmm.
It's like you say, which some people use as an excuse not to say the same prayer twice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make it vain. Speak it, live it, so when you feel it, if the Lord is my shepherd, feel him right there, see him,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever your prayer may be. Put yourself in there and see it as a movie. And if
Mm-hmm.
some people have a hard time, keep doing it. That is the first start to really understanding, in my opinion, how to access prayers. And it becomes a very good exercise.
Yes, it does.
That's a
I,
good homework.
I also love to have them read it in first person. Read it in
Yeah,
first person, and really, you know, I remember I was once told, at the time I honestly knew that was true or not. But I'm once told by a senior bishop, he would say that, he said, "Son, in prayer, if you don't feel it, God don't hear it." And I've never forgotten that. And I think even in the Greek mysteries, there's a phrase that says you must inflame yourself in prayer. And there is this energetic, or I should say, there is this emotionality that comes with sincere prayer, right? Even if you are praying a verse or a chapter, whatever, it's really going to help you getting on the inside of it and looking from the inside out, putting yourself in first person. This is not just the Lord is a shepherd, the Lord is my shepherd. You put your name there. The Lord is cosmic shepherd. The Lord is Lazarus shepherd. Lazarus will not want. And so on and so forth.
yeah. It reminds me of Brian Holman told me about this practice, and I think it was in the Andes. If they wanted to speak to a dead person, they would use the Lord's Prayer, but instead of saying Our Father, John Doe, and they just recite the rest of the prayer. Even though
Wow.
it made no sense. It makes no literal sense, but they're tapping into that. Some people never think to say there's a curse in the Bible, God's cursing somebody by name. Well, just switch out
Mm.
Nebuchadnezzar, John Doe again, because we ain't done torturing that fella.
My God, whoever John Doe is, shall
Uh,
I tell you, John Doe and Jane Doe.
so, like, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Let's just say I don't know, somebody high and mighty.
A
I still call him
politician.
Lucifer, but see it. Yeah, see it. If you got a problem visualizing, just go stare at the Tower Tarot card or something while you're doing it, so you can kind of get the idea. See what you speak and speak what you see over
Mm.
roots and everything else. Anybody that don't pray over each root ain't doing something right. I'm praying, I'm talking to it, telling it why it's there. Intelligence, everything has intelligence, language. That's the first lesson of Conjure. The first chapter of the Gospel according to St. John, in my opinion, contains the entire philosophy of Conjure and all its secrets, if people would just read it.
Mm.
That's one of the crazy things I was taught that took me a long time to figure out. But it's something you'll always learn from. It was considered like one of the most important verses for us. We were taught that has everything in it. Figure it out. We spent years, trying to decipher this. But that's where you start, and it's all about word, power of the word. Even your mojo hands, the things you put in it is still language. Even though they're beings in and of themselves, you're still telling the sentence by what you put in that bag. It all goes back to language.
To the power of the word, it cannot be underestimated at all. So if you're not speaking over, you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah. Why did all the prophets speak blessings over their children? All I hear is people talk to their kids when they're cussing at them. No, don't go outside. You're going to get shot. And then they wonder why the kids get shot.
Mm.
It's not a problem to have concerns about things. But be careful what state you're in when you speak.
Mm-hmm. And how you
So,
say certain things.
and then learn when not to talk. Because we
Oh.
go back to the person wanting to lose weight and they're wondering about what Bible verses to get health. Don't tell anybody because everybody's going to say, that ain't going to work. She ain't going to lose weight. She's going to fail that diet. You got everybody else cursing you because you opened your mouth in the first place. Don't tell people what you do.
You know, that's always been a mainstay in Conjure. You don't talk about active workings.
Yeah, well, it's like Deacon Frog. Why his tongue so long? He couldn't stop wagging it.
Yeah, you
Uncle Remus, man, that's the Bible. That's the other Bible no one tells you about.
but you know, you want to be mindful of this. I say the same thing to our students. You know, don't even put up images, pictures of current working. You know, don't talk about them to unrelated parties because again, you're adding more. As they say, you know, more spoons or more hands in the pot.
Mm-hmm. Be careful what you poison your mind with. If you're somebody that gets real angry over politics, like a lot of people, don't get on Facebook when you're trying to do some work for your life because it's all going to be tainted with all that anger you have towards that politician, that man's comment, that dude, just because he likes that guy.
Hmm.
And now your life's full of hate and you cursed yourself once more.
Not only that, not only if you don't like politics, if you're trying to do any kind of work to better yourself, don't go to social media first because what tends to happen is you've got this ritual or whatever in mind to better yourself, to produce this kind of money, to get this car, to get this house or whatever. You had a clear intention until you went on Instagram and saw that chick you don't like, and now she get a different kind of car, you want one better than her. Or, you know, her man is 5'7", so you want yours to be 5'9". You know, so it's just all trying to outdo somebody.
I'm already out the league. I ain't even close to 5'7". If you're affected by things like that, definitely. Until you have enough control over yourself to not be bothered. Find your zen if you're going to do conjure. Find your zen, whatever you want to call it. Find that. And then you don't have to worry.
I
So
think
much.
I think that so much is to be said about, and it's funny because this kind of came up a little bit and last week and in the threads and forums in between there, which is how do we incorporate the modern era into an ancient tradition like conjure. For example, the internet, social media. You know, you gave a working where, and I still haven't gone back and find and read it, but basically you had to break it. I think break a plate or something in somebody's yard.
Yeah.
And you know, today that might not be as feasible as it once was.
Yeah.
So we looked at different ways. So
Especially
you
half these people got plastic plates. You
right.
know, throw a Dixie plate out there and hope for the best.
So now we started talking about okay, what are some ways that we can take that same concept in a modern era and still have a similar effect? You know, printing out how did she do it? She made like a
Yeah,
watermark.
that was genius.
It was
See, I
innovative.
never figured that out because I'm not high tech enough.
It was innovative. That printing out Google Maps, you know, writing it over their property. These are ways we're trying to innovate and still remain true to the tradition.
When I learned about them electronic coffee grinders, you know,
Oh my
because
God.
I was still using stone stuff, stone mortars. It revolutionized my life. Well, I'm behind technology now because I know I'm not going to get a little brass ephemeris and try to measure the sky outside at night with all this light pollution. I need some technology. We got to learn to innovate. It's good stuff. That watermark thing changed my life.
Oh man, let me tell you, when she put that out, that's like, you know, Because then also the way she did it was the watermark is completely invisible. So you can go back over that same piece of paper and write on something totally different. Like a
Yeah,
regular correspondence, a regular document, and give it to them. They won't even know it was fixed.
and you can just trace it with a inkless pen. I mean, that it's still there, whether it's seen or
Mm.
unseen. You know, in people blow smoke rings. Now that's the big thing with the vaping kids.
Mm-hmm.
You still do it with your breath. You just can't see it. You can blow it without ever having smoke.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same intention, the same writing of language on reality.
I think
We're going too deep here, I guess.
no, you're fine. I'm looking here uh to see if we have any questions in the queue here. It's quiet in this chat room, or is it just on my end?
I ain't even looking.
Okay, here we go. All right. Uh okay, so someone asked, what are some of the fundamental or comprehensive conjure or incantations for healing work?
So I don't know this verse by hand, but you're gonna know it.
Mm-hmm.
It talks.
Uh-oh. Did I freeze? Did he freeze?
Use that as your mantra. I think it's in Matthew.
Oh yeah, to start over. Because I
Hmm?
think you froze a little bit, or I froze one.
I think it's in Matthew
Mm-hmm.
where they talk about if you drink any deadly thing, it won't harm you. Pick up serpents, lay hands on the people, they shall be healed. Use that as your prayer beforehand.
Mark 16 verses 17 and 18. And these
That's
signs
why
shall
I like
follow.
Pentecostals. They remember stuff. I can't remember numbers. It don't work.
But yeah, you should if you they shall lay hands upon the sick and they shall recover. If they eat or drink of any deadly thing, it will not harm them. They'll take up snakes and scorpions. Um, I like that one. Psalms Psalms 107 and 20. He sent his word and healed them and delivered them from all their destruction is a good one.
Lord, I'm not worthy that you should enter under my roof, but say only the word, and my servant shall
Be
be
healed. I don't know that one by heart, but I know the verse you're talking about. I know the
healed.
reference point.
Well, I'm glad I ain't the only one. I forgot one.
No, I'm still man. There's a lot. There's a lot to learn and memorize.
Yeah, but
Uh,
just think about that verse in Matthew. What is it? It's telling a story. Picking up serpents. Visualize that. Serpent's been a symbol of healing since before we learned to write. Is it
mm,
a coincidence that verse is there?
wow.
Look at hidden meanings. What could be under that verse? What could it also apply to?
I would also say, because when you just said that, I immediately thought about, I want to say John chapter uh 3, I think at John chapter 8, but Jesus referring to what happened in Numbers in the Old Testament where the people were bitten by snakes and talk about taking up serpents. He lifted up a brazen serpent
Mm-hmm.
and the folks who looked at it were, and that's so funny. I was just reading about that today, as a matter of fact, in a completely different related conversation. But that's another relationship with that text.
Yeah, I mean, I think they discovered that the oldest known, I guess, continuous religious ritual in the world that we have right now is from Botswana. I think it was by some of the Bushmen people at a python rock, and it was all a python ceremony, a snake. I mean, the brazen snake lifted up on the tau cross is also considered a precursor to the crucifixion.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus was also referred to as a serpent
Mm-hmm.
once.
Mm-hmm. And
So, no, look at all these weird connections, and you'll discover a lot more in your verse for application.
And then we get even deeper to, uh, you know, this correlation between Jesus and, if he wasn't a historical figure, and I'll let the other people debate that, that he may have even learned from the healing school of Asclepius, who was known to have that serpent staff. And of course, the symbol for medicine today is based off of his staff.
I mean, why not? I wasn't there,
Right.
And at the same time, we speak of that historical Jesus. Does it matter?
To me, it don't.
I mean, a person can be historical and also be a metaphor. That's astrology. Astrology is a metaphor that, in the belief, it's impacting our daily life. So why couldn't Jesus be a physical person who actually did these things and also be a greater sign and metaphor for a way of consciousness or living?
You're right on the money. I think you're right on the money. In this day and age, people often are self-conscious, and they covertly seek approval for their conjure works by way of publicly talking about their conjure. What would you suggest one do to combat the ever-increasing self-conscious demon?
Stand naked in front of a mirror until you're not disgusted with yourself. If you're that self conscious, that should be a very difficult thing. Why are you self conscious about what other people think? It doesn't matter. Live you, be you. Stop trying to be. I'm not trying to be good. I'm not trying to be bad. I'm just trying to be. And if you let that many people have that much control over your spirit, you have no business doing conjure in the
To
first
begin
place.
with. Because if you have that what we call self-consciousness, really it's an internal poisoning. Because again, you can't hold the resolve of your end goal, because it's going to be uh, buffeted on every side by other people's opinions. You would have done a work, and no, as I was talking about this earlier today. You did a work, you let it go, right? But then you're like, okay, well, he said, and she said, and they posted that I like that candle the right way. Maybe I should have used a different herb for that, or maybe I should have used a different. Now you're going back and second guessing your work.
Now you're overthinking and speaking doubt. There's them words again. You know, uh, work on being less self-conscious and more conscious of self.
Mm. Less self-conscious and more conscious of self.
Yeah, then you ain't got to worry about these things. If you're that worried, just don't talk about them. Journal if you can't keep it to yourself. Write it
Mm.
down to yourself. When there was a time where if you got caught doing this stuff, people killed you. Why is everybody talking about it?
Man, blasting it, plastering it from one end to the other.
And then in a lot of traditional communities where this is a living thing, we're not telling people what we're doing because we're afraid they're going to get us first.
Right, exactly.
You don't
Exactly.
want them to get you back. You'd have workers that completely denied ever being workers all the time. And unless you knew, nobody wanted to admit, nobody talked about it. They just did it. Quit talking about it, do it. You got all these people
What's
sit there on
understood don't
all
have to
these
be said.
forums. Hmm?
What's understood don't have to be said.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Just quit talking about it and do.
And don't compare one to the other. But the one thing I will say is, because I've done this before, I've looked at stuff, I see, that particular work and whatever, and it kind of got my juices flowing and kind of inspired me on, okay, yeah, that's interesting to use that, or okay, you use that herb in that particular case, and I'm adjusting, I'm making annotations in my mind, even when I get, like I was saying about your book, I read a lot. I read voraciously, and I read other conjure books as well. I'll admit that I have no problem admitting that. What I'm doing is I don't take it for gospel, as they say. I'm looking at a concept, thinking about it and then seeing how does that work for me or in my worldview. And I may scratch that out and say, nah, I would never use that in that particular working. Or this could use a little bit extra more of that. Or I like that most of my books have a lot of margins in them. A lot of written
Mm-hmm.
margins in them.
That's a good thing. If you want to read what people say for your own edification, as long as you're not using it for self-deprecation. Nobody started out sounding fancy like they knew what they were talking about. We all sounded like idiots when we started because we were idiots. We didn't know
We
nothing.
didn't know anything.
Everybody starts somewhere, but a lot of people forget that. Don't look down on the person below you. You were there. And at the same
Mm.
time, don't think just because they've been doing it longer that they really had this any more figured out than you. Because at the end of the day, the more we know, the less we do.
You answer one question and two more take its place. So you think you've gotten there until you arrive and realize you haven't gotten anywhere at all.
Yeah, it's the journey, not a destination.
But we are in that culture now where I got mine, you get yours, and God forbid you're just starting out anywhere. It's almost like this internet bullying. People assume that you should know, and if you don't know, you're illegitimate. If you don't know, you're unqualified. And it's not that you are purposely, you know, making a mistake, but you just don't know. But it's almost like it's almost like that family game of spades, where in certain communities, if you don't know how to play spades, nobody's going to teach. It's going to make fun of you because you don't know how to play spades.
They're gonna have to make fun of me. I ain't never played spades before. What my mama did cards, not me. I don't play them. I just read. I don't even play card games. I can't stop obsessing on what everybody's cards mean. They'll just have to make fun of me.
So we live in that culture now, and it's a lot less. We call it the spiritual community, but it's become a lot less communal by way of the internet, unfortunately.
Well, I think it has its benefits and it has its downsides. I wish we had more hands-on interaction, more face-to-face. Some of these concepts we can't discuss through the internet. We can talk about them, but they're not going to make sense till you see it.
Hmm. I was just I was in Lake City, South Carolina, this past Tuesday, making house calls, and my assistant was with me, and so he took a picture of all the stuff we had brought with us for this working in his trunk. And I put the caption. A lot of people actually know, well, how old school am I? You're too young to be old school. How old school can you be? And so I put the caption and said, I still make hoodoo house calls. And one of the comments said, that's real old school because people today would never make a house call because most of them aren't actually doing the work to begin with. So they sit there and take your money and send you an email and say, hey, hope everything goes well with you. Hail Mary and good.
I still do house calls too. I even went and bought an old leather doctor's bag just to make it easy to carry. I got real streamlined with it. I got tired of carrying things in Walmart sacks.
Yeah, so I think that this is a very valid concern, and I wonder why. This has been my philosophy. My philosophy has been that you should first, your community, I mean, as in your local, regional, outside your front door community, okay, you should be working with them first. Because at the end of the day, you live there.
There you go.
You live there. But if you aren't doing the work, or here's the downside about that. If somebody can also come knock on your door, you see, that's the other side of that. See, so I got started locally, and it kind of branched out from there as far as a online community was concerned. And so also because of that, it keeps you grounded, number one, because there's a lot of things you won't have the incentive to do online because you're not looking for the clout. Because that's not, you're that doesn't phase you. You know that at the end of the day, whether the internet goes down tomorrow, you still got a community that will support you and vice versa.
Yeah, you got to keep contacts, and it's the best practice because there's a lot of things in the community you're not going to experience from people online. And then there's a lot of things online
Nah,
that
you
nobody
never go experience
really
people in the
ever
community.
going to admit to. You learn some crazy things about people when you
Oof.
open up an email for Conjure consultation. My God, I thought they made that up to scare children. It's real.
It scared me. You did
Yes.
what?
I don't even know how to pray about that. I ain't never heard of such. You get to things you don't even know how to react, how to proceed from here. I'm gonna have to think on this.
Bro, I'm gonna have to get back to you. I might have to recommend you to somebody else, man. That's kind of out of my league on now, bro.
I ain't never done it, never thought of it.
I want to take a moment and say to those of you who are listening to us on social media, YouTube, for example, definitely want to encourage you to pick up a Backstage Pass. You can see us live here. You can look at our demonstrations. You can ask your questions. Be in the chat room with us, and of course, call in. We love to hear from you and talk to you. Even maybe get a reading or two in while we're on the show. So there should be a link at the bottom of this video where you guys can check it out. And it's too late to get this week's pass. You can definitely get a backstage pass for next week, and they're still on sale for $7. So probably the best spent $7 you've made this week, in my opinion. But that out of the way, I want to open this part of the show up to questions. Just to say, yes, it is. Questions, calls. If you guys have a question, definitely you can put it in the Q&A queue. Definitely, you guys can be in the chat room with us as well. Or if you would like to ask your question live, simply use the raise your hand icon right next to the Q&A option, and we'll bring you on to the into the show with us. Okay, let me make sure my stream is still good. So if you're asking questions on YouTube, we are not in the YouTube chat. You have to come over here backstage for you to get your questions answered. Uh, okay, let's see here. I think I have something here froze. 1 minute here. I'm managing like 4 different screens right now. Y'all bear with me here.
That's too much multitasking for me.
Oh. Okay. Can you still hear me, Lazarus?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're good. Okay. All right. All is good here. Wow, the lines are quiet tonight.
Nobody want to talk to me today.
I guess after last week, maybe they got shooker. They may have gotten scared.
It just ain't my lucky day.
And, sometimes it be like that. When you're with these live shows, sometimes you have a full house. Sometimes you don't. You gotta take roll with the punches. Uh, but oh no, let's see here. We've got something in the queue here. Okay. Um. All right. Regarding healing work, Imhotep, I've never seen him honored or evoked as a deity. Only Hippocrates. Well, then do that. That would be my response to you. Certainly do that. Work with that. Definitely do your due diligence and your research. But I don't see why not. I mean, a healer is a healer is a healer is a healer. Um, whether they're Greek, whether they're Roman, whether they're Egyptian, whether they're your great grandmother who had to talk fire out of a burn. I mean, it's the same concept.
And that's a handy trick to learn. You wouldn't think, but it's very handy. Worse on sunburns too.
Really,
Sunburns, sunstroke.
it's a dying art. It's a dying art.
I've
That
been trying to get my aunt to give me the wart charm for years. She says she ain't ready to die yet. She don't even charm nobody's warts no more. It ain't fair.
right, and she still gonna hold on to it.
Yeah,
But those days of the warp charm or the fire talkers, the sin eaters. I mean, we are living in an age where that is really on the decline. They're almost extinct.
I did sin eating, I think, last time 5, 6 years ago.
Hmm.
It's not requested much.
Well, very true. All right, let's see here. We've got some. All right, so we're going to bring on. Let's see here, Leroy here. All right, can you hear us?
His mouse, I think, muted.
Yeah, I think his. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Fire.
All right, you've got some feedback going on. Are you listening on two different devices?
Hold that thought. All right, what about now?
Okay, that sounds a lot better. Good to finally speak to you.
Yeah, it's nice to talk to everybody. So I wanted to chime in when you guys were talking about self-sabotage, people doing things and saying things and second guessing. And, I'd imagine everybody that's watching is probably a little bit beyond some self-sabotage. But just in case anybody from these random other groups that post their works and post their wax remains, asking everybody their thoughts and opinions. So that
Don't even
that right
get me
there,
started on that rant.
man, that is the biggest self-sabotage I see everywhere. But I try to tell everybody, but usually I'm too late because 900 other people chime in because they're, you know, the speaking authority on subject
Right.
matter contradict anything they say. But a magic journal, do the work, and then take notes, take a picture, write down what the wax look like, see what
You said a
happens.
magic journal?
Yeah,
Okay, all right. Your sound's going out a little bit. Okay.
sorry, but take a
That's a
picture.
great idea for self-examination.
Well, I try to tell a few people, but it always falls on deaf ears. But take that picture instead of posting it up there for everybody to see. Put it off to the side. Pay attention to what kind of movement you got from the work, what kind of outcomes and results you get, and then go back and examine that wax instead of letting everybody chime in on what they think the
With
work
the
is.
textbook example, the textbook definition of, oh, it went to the left, and there's a lump there, and there's a hump there, and there's a back over here, and I think Lazarus mentioned this before about a journal. Was that
How do you tell if it went to the left? Were you there when it was oriented? What if that left was east?
right? I've always said that stuff right there just makes me roll my eyes all the time. But what I like to tell people is this: if you're in that kind of situation, this shows a fundamental issue, which is you don't have a primary divination system. Because if you wanted to know what the wax meant, you could have divined on it. So that shows right there is a fundamental issue in your practice, in that this is your sole form of divination, and even that you've got to put up, as Leroy said, to 900 people in a Facebook group or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, you second guessing yourself already. You
Or
ain't even
900 guessing yourself in this case.
yeah, and everybody else doing the same thing because nobody can agree what the same sentence means.
Well, not only that, but you invite the evil eye in whenever people are looking at this work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you know if you're in chat rooms, you made somebody mad.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, groups and whatnot. I mean, why does it like if I need a second opinion, I have two people I trust. That's it. And they're not in groups, you know.
Right.
If you need somebody to confide in or ask an opinion, find one person. One good person, not 900 strangers.
Very good. Thank you so much, Leroy, for that comment. You made a very valid point. Let's get to our next. Let's see here. Here we go. So I just want to say this other point also, because Labs, he also picked up on what you were saying earlier about someone asked about being subconscious about their work. Is to, you said, make a journal. You know, write it down. I have one other thought I wanted to say behind that, but it left me. But it's very viable concern there. All right, let's go to let's get Ebony here. I don't know if she can hear us. I think her mic is still muted. Let's well, I've unmuted her. There we go.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes. Hey.
Hey. Good to hear
How
from you.
are you guys doing? This is my second my second go around with you guys. Last week was awesome, so here I am again.
Wonderful, wonderful. So what's on
Yes,
your
yes.
mind?
I was actually typing in response to what you were saying about when you're doing your work, showing it in all these different groups. The problem is people do this candle work, but they don't know how to divine. Maybe that'll be a great idea for your next class. How do you properly divine? Folks do the work, they don't know how to divine on it. So I just wanted to say that. I was typing it, but you guys called me to the platform. So
Very good. And not only that, with this is why divination is so. I mean, it is a fundamental. It is a fundamental. I would say, between your herbal lore per se, you know, you stick stones, roots and bones. You know, pardon the pun. Equally, you need to know divination, because you need to know divination on the front end as to what to do with your sticks, stones, roots, and bones, and then on the back end, if what you did, you know, moved anything. That's what I was gonna say. Thank you for bringing this back up. What I was gonna say is, so I was always taught, you know, you don't put current workings out there to be seen and viewed. You don't pick certain. There's certain shrines, certain altars, certain pots, certain fetishes you don't take pictures of. Period. Point blank. You don't plaster that stuff on social media. Another thing you can do is, and I've known for doing this as well. If you have to put something out there for whatever reason, again, I don't recommend it being a current working, but to put some kind of filter, alter the image in some way, right? I do a lot of, filters on my images, looks very color coded or whatever. You can't really make out all the details, but the idea gets conveyed. What do you think about that?
First thing I was taught is if there's going to be a picture of your altar, make sure at least one thing isn't there. And afterwards, rearrange the whole thing. All of my pictures are very old pictures. Stuff that's long been completed. And I only ever take a picture when I'm about to completely dismantle, move, and update an altar. You don't want people. I can take a picture of your altar, mess your whole life up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we really want to, and thank you, Ebony, so much for that point. We're going to get to our next call in just a second here. Not only that, but even, and this is just me coming up a very superstitious, tradition. there are certain pictures you didn't take of your house, right? Like for example, you will never see me as far as a video, or whatever, from my bedroom, right? Or at certain angles of pictures. Okay. You're not going to be seeing this wide angle shot of my house. If you catch me, you may see me at this screen right here, or you may see me with my back to a window. You know, because all of us either that witch can project into your house. You know what your house looks like or whatever. They can, astral project into your home. That's a very real thing. Being behat. Let me just say this: a lot of you guys and a lot of your children also are dealing with being written or being behagged. All right, not quite knowing why. Do you have a lot of pictures of your intimate spaces on social media that can easily take your image, okay, and astral project into that image? I'm just saying, that's just a precaution for you guys.
I'm glad there's Facebook. You know how hard it used to be getting pictures of people back in the day? Man, I thought like
it's a
cell
it's
phone cameras were great, but you still had to worry about getting caught stalking somebody.
right.
Nowadays, you can look up everybody, the judge, the police officer, their third cousin, where they
The
work.
side chick, everybody.
Yeah, you can find everything. Google Earth, you get a picture of their house once you get their address off of Google. I mean, it's all out there. Makes things a lot easier, but also leaves you a lot more open.
We've got now this question. I'm gonna let you answer it if you want to. Okay. The question is, how did Dr. Lazarus come up with the concept of sigils with the song for his book?
How did I come up with it? Each of those seals is completely made from either a specific verse or multiple verses from that psalm relating to the work. So, like the psalm versicles around the seals in the Key of Solomon. It's kind of that concept.
Very, very good. All right, we've got let's see here. Where am I at here? I just lost my uh we're gonna get to readings in just a moment here. Um
I guess I better sit up straight then.
I am I am wait a minute now. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and bring in another guest here. Let's see here. This is Oya. All right.
Hey,
Hey, can you hear us?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, all good here.
Back to when you were talking about people who can talk out burns and fire
Mm-hmm.
and things like that. On your opinion, I've heard two different things. Like, it's really not something that can be learned. It has to be passed on. Because I know a friend of mine, her grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
was able to do it when she was younger, and she was going to pass it on to her, but she had to tell a male person how to do it to tell her, because she could not do it. But she passed away, and the male person was her son. He wasn't old enough at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I figured this, she told him that he would convey it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted your opinion on that, because like you said, those people are really not around. I used to know a person myself personally. My sister took my niece to her years ago when she was a baby, but she died as well. She was an older lady. She could talk fire out, but you can't find those people. So in your opinion, is it something that can be taught, or is that something that does have to be passed on in a particular manner to someone else?
Last, you want to take a swing at it?
This is how I was taught about it. It passed through sexes. So a man had to tell a woman who had to tell a man, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's spoken, you whisper it to the person, and you can only tell it to them 3 times. And if they can't remember it, it's gone. You can't tell them no more. You can't repeat it. You know, you have to be able to listen to it after them 3 times, and that's how you get the charm for somebody. But there's one everybody can use. uh, the blood stopping charm from the Bible.
Ezekiel.
Ezekiel 16:6, I think it is. Anybody can have that one because that one's in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other ones, it's not so much. You know, you have to have it spoke to.
What I would say to that is, see, I was heard you can only be told it once. That's not true. So you're gonna be told it once. After that, you know, if you didn't, that's why it was almost, you know, it was almost a, I wouldn't say a ceremony, but it was a big to do because you had to make sure that you were ready
Yeah.
because you only got one chance at it. But it was passed down.
Yeah, well, different charms also has specifics, you know,
Mhm.
about them. Some of them you had to see the thing happen too, because some of them had actions like a little piece of black thread or a certain way you make the cross with your finger.
Mm-hmm.
So each of them had different. Some could only be told on certain times.
Mm-hmm.
Others didn't have that problem. So I mean that you'll see things like that. There'll be differences.
But to that point,
And then some you can only tell one person.
is it me? Am I freezing? I wonder if it's me. Lazarus. Lazarus, come forth. Y'all let me know in the chat if y'all are having any audio issues. All right, so Lazarus had to step out for a second. Well, it makes perfect sense. I had to step out last week anyway. So, all right. Everybody's saying it's clear. Okay. All right, no problem. So yeah, we'll get into okay. All right. Well, yeah, we'll definitely ask Les when he gets back on what he believes about casting out demons. I'd be very excited to hear about that. How do I get a reading? Well, you've already done the first step, which is to purchase a Backstage Pass. So I'll take this time to once again reiterate for those of you who are listening by YouTube or wherever else you may be listening to this video at and not looking at us live, interacting with us live. You know, you can do that by getting a Backstage. I mean, it's on sale for $7. $7. All right. We do every week. All right. We plan to do this for the rest of this month and God willing next month as well. We'll have August will be September will be season 2. So check the link does not change. The link does not change. You can actually go and order a couple of passes all at one time if you like. That's certainly your choice to do. But you've already done the major step, which is get a Backstage Pass. We can get you in for a reading if we have time to do that. What we normally give about 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes or so for reads. We can do rapid fire too on that. So we look forward to talking to you guys in that regard. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so his Lazarus, he froze. Okay. Let me check up on him. I know they were having some weather. Let's see. 'Cause. 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 'C Okay. All right. Well, all right. So what else y'all got here? Okay. So okay, she said include me in the readings tonight. Time ran out. Okay. All right. We'll definitely do that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So there's a storm where he is, and knocked out the internet there. So he's gonna be joining us on his phone. Okay. Well, that means we're probably gonna be getting a storm tomorrow then. Very good. All right. If y'all are enjoying this, let us know in the chat what you guys think about this platform. If this is your first time here, let us know so we can shout you out. All right. I see you, Lazarus, but I don't hear you. I see you, but I don't hear you. All right, you're gonna go ahead and try again.
Ah, there we go.
There it is. Okay, I hear you now.
I know what happened. I think the storm knocked out the internet.
Now I
So,
hear you. Before I saw you, but I didn't hear you. Now I hear you and I don't see you.
yeah, I figured this out. Oh, where are we at?
Okay.
Well, I guess I've just disappeared today, huh?
Well, there
Let's
you
see.
go. All right.
See, I still can't.
Well, if we don't have
I'm here again.
okay, all right, all right. I was about to say,
My
you can always call in.
Oh, well, I guess I could. Huh? Easier.
Yeah, that'd be easier for you. You could call in.
Figure out how to do it. This is all new. Sorry, everybody.
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's a learning curve, for everybody.
Yeah, this is.
Let me see if let's see here.
Hey, I don't know what's going on. It's got to be the storm, man.
It looks like it. With the connection there. You want to try calling in?
I'm not quite sure how on this phone.
But you just dial in a number and type an access code. Let me send that to you. It should be in your email actually. Let me see if I can get let's see here. All right. Let's see if I can. Let's see here. That's uh. Y'all bear with us for a little bit. This is what it means to be live. This is what it means to be backstage. You get to see all the mishaps and miscellaneous. Okay. Here we go. Okay, very good. All right. First time. Okay. Glad to have you. Anybody else in here for the first time? Let's see. We are trying to get Lazarus in the okay. Let's see. Right. I'm trying to uh, do, do. Now see, this is a new one for me too. Okay, he said he called in and hmm, you're muted. Okay. Let me see here. Total truth. Now I'm showing my ignorance in what I'm doing here. Okay. Let's see here. Ooh. Well, we can do the old school way. Cause I'm not seeing you come up in the queue, Lazarus. He said he's called in, he can hear us. He's listening, but I don't see him in the queue. So what we'll do is we'll work this old school. And let's do it this way. Let me see if I can call you. Uh, hello? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Let me make sure they can hear you. Let's see here. Say something.
Hey.
Okay. I think they can hear you. Let's see. Can y'all still hear him?
Cell phone tower get knocked out.
What?
That happened yesterday.
Okay. All right, you called in, but I didn't see you. I didn't see you in the queue. That's weird. So I need to check out after the show.
That won't work next time.
Right. I'm gonna. I want to. I'm gonna check into that after the show. Okay. Now I lost my train of thought. What were we doing? I lost my train of thought. All it is.
I was mostly over here cussing at the Wi-Fi.
Well, let me ask you this question in the in between. What do you think about? What's your belief on? We got this question came into the queue. Casting out demons, deliverance and exorcisms and all that.
I think that if you are going to do that, you better be very well trained and qualified, because you don't need to be on the radar of somebody you don't know how to deal with. If you can't deal with your neighbors, you ain't gonna be able to deal with the demons.
Ooh. Say that one more time for people in the back.
If you can't deal with your neighbors, you can't deal with the demons. I mean, I think it's good practice everyone should pray against demonic involvement in their life. But that doesn't mean everybody is qualified to go find somebody that's climbing the walls of spit-pea soup and try to clean house.
All right. I agree.
That's my opinion.
It's not for everybody.
No, I mean, strange things happen. That's all I can say about it. If you're not psychologically prepared as well, you don't need to put yourself in that position.
I'm trying to keep going, lads. I'm trying to do a little bit of troubleshooting on the back end so we can get you back in here. Let you.
Oh well.
There's another question here. Let's see here. No, I think that was we answered that one live. Done. Okay. I have read that Isaiah 55:11 is the staple of hoodoo. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't even know the verse by heart, so I guess I couldn't tell you.
I
had to read it.
Isaiah 55 is even as my word is gone forth out of my mouth, it shall not return back to me void. But don't fact check me on that.
That sounds like a good verse.
Yeah.
Maybe it's staple for some people, But obviously I didn't know it by heart, so.
Okay.
I think we have to be also careful what we consider staple, because it's not that many generations back our people couldn't read.
Right.
So they wouldn't have the staple Bible verse, just the ones they remembered.
Very true. Okay, so Laz, what you got to do is call back in and either try *6 or *9.
Okay. Just let me see if I can do that then.
Okay. All right. All right, folks. So we're gonna see if we can get Lazarus back in the studio here. Oh, that's what I was looking for this whole time. I was looking me right in my face. Fucking face. I was like, where did I do with that thing? I was looking all over the house for that thing. It was sitting right there the whole time. So that I was at the altar. That's why. Okay, I think we got all our questions answered. Okay. Gotcha. All right. I think we are good as far as our question queue is concerned. All right. Done. Participant. Y'all, thank you so much for your patience here. Okay, he's there. He hears us. I see somebody else is calling in. All right. Try. If not, we'll just do what works here. We're doing some live troubleshooting. This is how it works. Hmm. I don't know why it's not working. We'll probably have to call him back in. All right. So, okay.
I'm back.
Thank God, because I'm like, okay, this is not going
Man,
according to plan.
it's always something. But welcome to art. Yesterday it was like the entire Verizon network gone. You know?
What?
Yeah, people were like freaking out buying bread at Walmart. They just were lost. You know, today it's like the internet. So I mean, invest in Wonder Bread. You know, it's
American staple.
yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully it doesn't happen again. If not, I apologize.
I don't know why. So did you try the star 6 star 9 thing?
Yeah, a few times.
Nothing. The only thing it's showing me is that one person is a one phone call in listener, but it didn't tell me who they are, what their number
That
is.
was me, I think.
Well, there's somebody else listening by phone because when you came in, it said two phone call
Oh,
listeners. So we had to get that
we'll have to
score.
work that one out.
Yes, I would
Gotta have a
definitely be on that
backup plan for this.
all of that tonight. But that aside, uh, what do you think about, or what are some ways you suggest working with water spirits?
Well, that depends on your definition. Are we talking like Grimoire elementals, African traditional religion, the genius Loki of your local pond or river?
Let's start with the latter one.
Okay, so your local spirits, your land spirits.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to work with the land spirits, you have to start getting acquainted, make offerings. If it's a water spirit, probably don't want to throw anything in there that'll kill fish. You know, uh, clean the place up. Incense is very common throughout the world for land spirits. But you always start by feeding. You don't hunt deer without throwing out corn. You know?
That's true.
And that's how you start. Talk to it. Give it a name if it doesn't have one. You personify something, you have a lot easier chance of communicating.
Mm.
That's just how our minds work. That's why we personify everything and give it attitudes, likes and dislikes.
Right.
As if great cosmic forces need your help to give them an apple. You know,
Right.
that's more for us.
Very good point.
That's a deep question, though. I mean, that's like an encyclopedia kind of,
It
know.
is. It is. While we are in this interim, before we switch over to getting to the readings here, where can the people find you at, Lazarus?
I'm on Facebook as Lazarus Corbeau. And that's about it. I don't really have a lot. I got my old YouTube channel, but I don't have a lot of web stuff. Like I've got an old blog I haven't updated in forever, but all the links are in my books, so that make it easier. So they're all in there.
Oh, very good. And I have his information scrolling down on the screen as well for those of you who are watching again by YouTube. All right. So we've come to the much anticipated part of the show where we get our intuitive centers charged and wound up here. So what are you going to be using to divine with today?
Same thing, playing cards. Everything else requires too much space. Just sitting here on webinar reading cowrie shells and
Pistachio shells.
pistachios. Yeah, you read pistachios, make a good oil.
Very good. All right, so if you would like your reading live, you can definitely raise your hand, and we'll bring you on and read you live. If you want to post, type it up, we'll do the best that we can. People love to give you incomplete questions. You know, boyfriend. So we're gonna do it that. You want his name?
Which one?
Right, exactly.
Well, they get mad when you ask that, especially when they're guilty.
Okay.
Get hung up on it.
But you know, that's what Jesus did. The woman at the well. She said, "My husband." He said, "Which one of your husbands are you talking about?"
Yeah. Jesus funny like that.
All right. Let's see. Okay. So we've got. All right. There we go. There we go. All right, caller, can you hear us?
Hey guys, I can hear you.
Okay, good, good. So, what do you want an insight on?
Insight on my supervisor at my workplace. Ever since she came on board, that chick has been giving me a very hard time. The agency we work with, I just need to know if she has some alliances outside the agency, with some partners that we have, and she's kind of forming alliance against me. I have tried everything. I've even used oils when I've gone into meetings with her, bend over oils. She kind of submits to me, but then it's like the beast is back again. I'm just so tired of her. So I just need to get some insight on this chick.
So basically, you want to know, is there a conspiracy amiss?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Mm.
While he's flipping cards, you have to understand that not everyone's actions are specific.
Laz, I think he'll knock out on us now. Oh, he froze. I might be that storm again.
Yeah, he's frozen.
And I definitely want to get his insight on this.
Do you need her name or anything, Cos?
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, it's gonna be a supervisor, whether we have her name or not. Still your supervisor. All right, so he's clocked out there. He probably will give me a call in, and we'll pick it up from there. And I want to hear his context before I even give. Uh, and so let me ask you this question: when he was on the phone earlier, were you able to hear him?
Yeah.
Let's see here. All right, y'all. We're trying to rig it.
It's so funny. My kids were so quiet all this time I'm here in my space. I could hear them piping up outside.
Okay, Laz, now we can hear you.
Went out again.
It went out again. Right when you were on the. Okay, well I've got you on the phone here. Can you hear him?
I can hear him.
Okay, all right. So go ahead. That's what you were saying. You were giving us some context for the reading.
Okay. What I was saying was this woman has got problems outside of her work, so like some home problems. So until that stuff's done, that shit gonna roll downhill. You have to bless that woman, make her life better, so your life isn't difficult.
Did you catch what he said?
Yeah, I could kind of hear him. So she has problems outside the workplace. She has a difficult life situation going on now.
And this actually is confirmed in a matter of speaking about what I'm getting. Because one thing I got was the three swords in the reverse position. There's something going on not just at home, but particularly romantically with her. This may be represented by her marriage, for example. I've got the Two of Cups right next to that card there. That could be causing some, either it could be if I was to give my guess, I would say it's marriage or her primary romantic partner, or it could also be a strong business tie that's fraying and falling apart. Okay, so maybe what you are viewing from the outside in is her trying to compensate for that breaking up. All right, he's back.
Lord. Sorry, folks.
It's all right. So that's what I'm seeing here. So I concur with what Lazarus is saying. There is something else amiss, something under um going on at home, something domestic more than likely, that's spilling over in the workplace.
Mm.
And that's probably why you've been noticing that with your bend overworks, whatever, you will get some movement there, but then it'll also have some other issues later on down the road because there's something going on that's not connected or not caused by the work environment.
Got you. Can I just say something right quick?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so one of the guys that worked with us at the agency, he left the agency, started his own 501c,
Mhm.
and he comes back now to train her.
Mhm.
I think there may be some love tie there with those two.
It must not be that good if she still got time to be bothering everybody.
Not
Usually
yet.
when the love's nice, they're happy and all the hormones is balanced and just the world's beautiful.
That's what I picked up because homegirl came to work with a whole bunch of rose water on her the other day.
Maybe homegirl ain't getting what she wants.
Right.
Something like that.
Attacking
Another
me.
thing too, pray to bless that woman. Pray her life so great, because the more you pray blessings on her and the more she spits at you, the more God will rain fire down on her head. I know your instinct is stab somebody, because that's mine, but that's what God says. I figure he knows.
I didn't want to harm her because she has a 5-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
I didn't want to hot foot her, and I didn't want to goofer dust around her car because I didn't want her daughter to get,
Well,
to
what I would
walk
recommend in a situation like that where you're not trying to be aggressive to someone, but you need to put a halt to some activity, would be simple freezer work, right? You can, if you have any personal concerns of hers, get there. You can make a packet of that. You can use alum for that. You can use um, oh, sassafras for that. If you find there's a lot, she's being a little bit more mouthy towards you. She's talking out the side of her mouth, for example. And wet that paper with your urine. Okay, fold that up, fold that into aluminum foil, and put that in your freezer. All right, that urine is going to harden and it's going to freeze her in place. What are you going to say, Corbo?
Pray to her guardian angel. You can work with somebody's guardian angel to affect him. All you need is a white candle and a glass of water. And pray to her guardian angel to keep her in a good mood and nice to those around her.
I wrote her name.
If none of it works, there's always may they be given up to Satan for the chastisement. Soul may be saved. We'll try to hold that one off for a little bit.
Call us back in a couple of weeks and let us know. We got to get to that one. But thank you so much for calling in and taking time. Thank you for
Thank you,
the
guys.
show.
Thanks.
All right.
That's my favorite verse, by the way.
Clearly, because you know that one by heart. So I know that was your favorite.
I know the ones by heart I use a lot. You
Right.
know?
All right. So again, if you wanted to have your okay, let's see here. If you want to get your reading live, you can do so by the raised hand option. Let's see here. All right. We've got another one coming in here. Let me reset my deck before we bring this caller in. All right. Let's go ahead and bring in our next caller. Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep, all good.
All right. So, should I give my real name or my screen name?
It doesn't. You probably want to give your
Doesn't matter.
screen name for those who aren't in the chat room.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, my name is Taylor,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to know. Well, let me ask this: do I need to ask a specific question, or can you do a general reading? What works best for you?
General questions render general answers.
Okay. Okay. I'll put it like this. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Person I am interested in romantically, have been for a while, and I want to know. Um, I'm trying to formulate a question. Because it's such a I wouldn't even say complicated. It's
Now
such
you
a
done had the whole show to get your question together.
yeah. See, I done fell asleep, dozed off, woke back up. But let me ask it like this: will we be in communication again? Is this person going to reach out to me?
Okay. And it's the person that you're romantically involved with.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You know, you got a doom and gloom anointing, so I gotta prepare
I'm looking
myself,
at
brace
doom and
myself.
gloom right here, right now.
You said what?
So I'm looking at the doom and gloom right now.
Oh man. Okay. I think. Okay. Go ahead, Lazarus.
I see no cards for communication. All I see cards of hardening of a heart and a path of sorrow and tears. So if you pursue this, you'll have nothing but tears.
So it's interesting. Wow, it's interesting. Okay, so let me show what I have here. Me and Lazarus always we be in sync. It fascinates me. So beginning this, first of all the cards showed up in the reverse position. All right, which is by itself not necessarily a bad thing, but the cards that did show up will give us a different tone here. First of all, again, okay, I got the Two of Cups in the reverse position. All right. Was showing about partnerships, connections there. The next thing we're looking at, the Seven of Pentacles. Again, like Lazarus said, I'm not seeing any cards that indicate communication here either, which would normally be swords, for example, communication, or we look at pages. None of them show up in this reading. We look at the Seven of Pentacles. Now, if you're looking at this on the screen, this shows a person like waiting for it to grow, right? Watching the harvest come in, almost like watching the paint drying. Basically, is it coming? How long is it going to take? It's in the reverse position, rendering an indefinite amount of time, right, or indistinguishable amount of time. Next to that, we also have this goes directly to what Lazarus just said. The Eight of Cups in the reverse position. Here we see individual walking away in despair, leaving it all behind. So I've set everything in set the cups back up, put everything in order. I'm out of here. I'm gone. My back is to it, right? It showed the individual in despair, leaving in despair. And then lastly here, we would find the let me ask you this question, if you don't mind saying. The individual, is this male or female?
Male.
All right. So this indicates here with the Knight of Pentacles, which would be the male, all right, involved here in the reverse position. Now he's also the Earth. There's also an Earth card, so it's also slow moving, all right. But it being in the reverse position would have it in that regard. Have it facing towards the past, all right. So like this not coming anytime in the future. This is already passed over. So to answer concisely, all right, I'm not seeing it, and I'm from what Lazarus indicated, I don't think he's seeing it either.
Okay.
All right, thank you so much for giving us a call. We look forward to hearing more from you. All right, let's see here. We've got our next call coming in here. Lazarus, I'm telling you, we just on the money today.
Until the internet goes back.
Right. well, let's hurry up. So all right, here. Let's see. All right. All right, caller, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello, can you hear us?
Hello.
Yes, can you hear us?
Oh yeah. What's happening, Doc?
What's going on, man?
What's happening, Doctor
Hey.
Carbo?
Doing all right?
Man, I feel how I look and I look how I feel.
No, that's right. Can we help you?
Just want to check on my finances, make sure everything's in order.
All right. Are you living under a bridge?
Thank God I'm not.
Okay, that's auspicious.
Down in sunny South Florida, so you know the beach ain't nothing but a couple miles away. So
Okay.
You got a lot of chaos coming up in there, trickery, lies, and great amounts of fuckery.
oh no.
Yeah, not so good. This card even can designate the influence of evil spirits.
Okay.
That's interesting. Now I've got a little different take here. I do see the finances may be coming somewhat to a standstill, but you're, as they say, percolating and circulating, you're maintaining. One other thing I do see here is there is some old money that is due to you. Okay. There's some old money that's due to you. I would recommend some road opening work to clear those blocks out of the way to bring that money in quickly. To confirm what Lazarus is saying, though, at the end here, I do have the Four of Swords in the reverse position. And so I would advise this when it comes to partnerships or it comes to any type of, this is what I hear in the spirit, if I can read you this way. Andi rambando komba baba didi osha rekonde on sama. Yeah, so what I hear by the spirit is individuals coming to you, wanting to collaborate with you, wanting to partner with you in some type of financial endeavor, wanting to put you on, per se, these new up and coming financial opportunities, to not take them. All right. They are bait. They are laced in lies. They're laced in deceit. They're laced in treachery. Don't take them. They're going to look good. They're going to sound. But I would hear the Spirit say, avoid them and go the opposite direction. Alongside what I said earlier, about there was some money that's owed, just locked up somewhere, I would go back and begin to check your ledgers. Who did you lend? And they borrowed, have not returned it, and begin to work some pay me now type of work and some road opening.
Okay, I got you. Well, I ordered a couple things from you, so as soon as I get that in the mail, I'll make sure that happens.
All right, Lazarus, what were you going to say?
I would also suggest that if you pray to St. Michael, light a St. Michael candle, the prayers on the back to protect you from the influences that may be around you. You might also want to go do a cleansing in the river, because those things are also designated by these cards as remedies.
I understand completely. I appreciate that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you, brother. Thank you for listening. This is your first time in on the end, so we look forward to seeing you guys. Wow, that brings us up to the hour here. Man, I'll tell you, this thing go by so fast. So
Yeah, it did
fast.
for me too. I missed a good part.
Well, we're going to go ahead and clear the queue here for readings here. Why don't you once again give us where you can find you, Lazarus?
I'm on Facebook as Lazarus Corbeau, and Dr. Corbeau's Conjure Room on Facebook. I also run the Southern Conjure Facebook group, but it's pretty slow.
All right. And if they want to message you or email you, what's your email?
drcorbeau@gmail.com.
Okay, very good. And again, everything me, you can find me on YouTube, obviously. Facebook, I'm there with anything concerning me, you can find on my website. My domain is my name, cosmic.com. That's KHOZMIQ.com. KHOZMIQ.com. For those of you who participated tonight, we want to say thank you for making it what it was. We enjoy having y'all backstage. We love the questions. We love the readings. We love just the engagement. I think it's very healthy. It's very good for all the parties involved. If you were not able to get in on this week, we'll be doing this again. Well, Lazarus, we'll be doing this again.
Yeah, I suppose so.
All right. Next week, same time, same place, 7 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You definitely want to pick up a backstage pass in the meantime, in between time. Until then, I hold you all in the light of God that never fails. And God bless you all forever. And we'll see you guys next week.